Yo, what's good, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning from the West Coast, man. It's J Ping checking in live, man. RespectMyRegion.com. Today we're on episode 1 of the Flavor Forward podcast. I am your host, Joey J Ping, and we have a very special guest today, folks. We have Andrew Bouchard of Deustche Process. These guys do some really great work. And Andrew, you just said it, you're the only person in your whole division, right?
Right,
Uh,
one man strong, but we
Cannabis
are
and
strong.
hemp beverages. That's
Correct.
your team. And
That's
you
that's
got and you help bring that to life in cannabis. It's as simple as that.
absolutely, and it's a great place to be. It really is. Looking at, places like Minnesota, the West Coast, Northeast, these distribution lines, especially in the D9 world, are just
Mm-hmm.
states are open, right? So it's a great time. It's a fun vertical to be in. People are pushing kind of the limits, finding different blends of minor cannabinoids, low dose, high dose, really kind of just trying to chase the market. And I think there's a huge share in the beverages right now.
Huge. And one of the key things in beverages is the flavor of drinks, right? And so I got to shout out to our sponsor for today's episode. The Flavor Forward podcast, folks, Inside Edibles and Beverages, is brought to you guys by the Flavor Co. This is the cannabis industry's premier group for flavors when it comes to making beverages, making edibles, both in cannabis and in hemp. They have flavors ready to go. They have flavors that they can create, and they will take on the challenge of your ideas and helping to bring something to life. And so we have today's episode. Uh, we I was talking with you, Andrew. You reached out. We thought that this was a pretty harmonious episode because you guys are the equipment, Deustche Process, equipment, hardware manufacturing. You guys help people build out the spaces that they use for their beverage lines, both bottles and cans, right?
Can right? Shout
And
out Wild Goose. So Wild Goose Bottling and Canning, they are now officially part of Deutsche. So
mhm.
under the Middleby Corporation, so we
Wow.
can really give a full turnkey aspect when it looks at, okay, what is this facility going to look like? What is the
Mhm.
space to live in? And our main goal is by taking kind of all of our resources and wrapping our equipment around their methodologies, right? Their
Yes.
flavor, their process. So that's what we're able to bring to the table.
I think there's something to be said about beverages and the mainstream capabilities, and I would call it almost an attractability because that beverages are normal because alcohol have made it so normal. Because going and getting a can of Coke is normal. Sprite, Starry's doing the marketing for everybody right now, right? So you just got to think like, are beverages the future? No, it's the past, the present, and the future. And by not participating in that, you're straight up missing out. Now, my understanding is that the margins on beverages are a little tight. And it's a tough place to be in, right, Andrew? It's
It
not
is.
easy to be a beverage
I
company.
think that's everywhere in cannabis right now, right?
Yep,
We kind of all share that burden on, how do we create a high quality product, but we still keep the lights on, right?
100%, 100%. Now, today's episode is going to be sharing some game. We're going to it's a 101 episode. This is not diving too deep into any one thing, unfortunately, right? But we've got a good one for you guys today. And so, on the very first official episode of the Flavor Forward podcast, again, you guys, I've got Andrew Bouchard here, Deustche Process. They specialize in some things that are vital to creating a cannabis or hemp beverage in today's day and age. Now, Andrew, we're going to talk about first what goes into quality cannabis beverages. You need the vehicle that it's delivered in, the can, the bottle, right? Whatever
Right,
it is, right?
right,
What else goes into those?
right. And that's a great question, right? How is the proverbial sausage made? And then there's a lot to this aspect, but I think in the golden rule in any cannabis industry is good in and good out, right? And when we're looking at a lot of these like MSOs and these brands like Keef Cola, CQ, Artet, things that are readily available in a lot of different markets, it's kind of like McDonald's. Consistency is going to be the absolute key, right? If you get it in Massachusetts, you want it to taste the same as it does, in Florida or something. You understand? So
Mm-hmm.
being able to replicate that, I think is one of those background things that not a lot of people think of. Deutsche Process or Deutsche Beverage, we were founded about 15, 20 years ago in I think it's 2000, 2007 actually. And our owners were trying to set up a brewery, and
Okay.
throughout process, they found that they had to go through like 7 or 8 different people, different vendors, just to bring that vision kind of to life and to
Wow.
fruition. So the idea was, well, we can probably do this better, right? What if we created a one-stop shop for, beverage production? And since then it's taken off, right? So we have, multiple dozens of breweries, alcohol distilleries all over the US, Canada, some of the Virgin Islands. We even have a division overseas. And about 10 years ago, we started getting into the cannabis processing space. We would do very large scale. People know Deutsche, they do massive, large scale cannabis extraction systems. And with the emergence in the last couple of years of the hemp and cannabis derived beverages, it was a perfect marriage of kind of what we were founded on, being able to be that one-stop shop who has experience kind of on, like you said, alcohol is a thing. It's a normalized thing. So
Yeah.
we have both feet on each side of the border, and I think we bring a very, very harmonious marriage to this industry, especially with beverages specifically. So everything.
Who would have thought that people wanted a more efficient way than having to call a bunch of different people to
Right?
piece some shit together and then connect everybody anyways?
Exactly. Like there's an easier way to do this, right? And through our experience, through our vendors, we have a squad of in-house engineers. These guys have over 100 years combined in doing both mechanical and chemical engineering. So
Mm-hmm.
everything, initial CAD designs, your floor plans, how much power are you going to need? Let's look at where we need floor drains. Let's look at, the safety and the FDA aspects of it. Everything into custom designing, again, wrapping that equipment around your processes to make sure that you are going to hit the mark consistently and compliantly every single time you turn on that machine.
That's one of the key things, consistently and compliantly, right? There's certain types of packaging out there that has proven to make people uncompliant because they didn't R&D enough ahead of time and do the proper testing. My understanding in beverages is that, you've got terpenes, which are a solvent, you've got flavors, you've got ingredients putting together. The vehicle, again, the bottle or the can that is chosen is a vital component to creating a quality cannabis product, right? Ultimately, these are not the same products as a Gatorade or a Starry or a Sprite. There are some additional key things here that
We're
makes
under
it
a microscope, you know what I
quite
mean?
a
We
bit
are
different.
under a microscope, and it only takes one can, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or one, COA to be, not accurate. We've seen that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just the snowball effect is. So that's another thing that we really like to do with any of our customers, be it beverage or actual, cannabis extraction, is understanding the rules of engagement in your area, right? In
Yeah.
your state. So being able to work lockstep with those people to understand, all right, we want to make this as compliant as possible.
One of the other things that really caught my ears while you were speaking is these, like, how all these different groups that originally were making it were all kind of siloed and separated, and then you had to call this person a group and do this and then get it figured out. I've heard of people having to, like, crane lift things in or like knock out walls to get
Oh yeah,
equipment in. This equipment, it's a big situation in sometimes,
it
right?
can be. It
Yeah.
can for sure. So I mean, we have, again, large scale facilities all over. We have a great customer in Charlotte, North Carolina, Crescent
Mhm.
Canna. Crescent Nine is their brand. It's absolutely incredible. If they're in your Whole Foods, if they're in your store, check them out. Big shout out to Rob Lynn and Joe Garrity and the team down in Louisiana. But they gave us the challenge where we have this space, right, and we have a 1, a 3, and a 5 year plan. Can you make this work? Absolutely. So is understanding that we can make these things as big or as large as possible. For instance, they are running a relatively small mixing tank, but they're refilling into these big, massive tanks. So these engineers, they're super creative. They're kind of mad scientists in a way, but they have
Yes.
that future vision of, we're in it for the 1, 2, 3, 5 year plan. So we always build these systems kind of with that mentality that you're gonna win and you're gonna scale up,
Yeah.
which again
I'd
makes it
say
they do.
because Deutsche Process or Beverage Plus Process has such an extensive history doing this outside of cannabis, right? You are the individual handling cannabis and hemp. That's a singular person, correct?
Right. Yeah.
So you're the team, right? In that regard, I've pretty much only seen your guys' products at any facility I've been in cannabis that makes beverages. So it's this balance of, okay, well, they do beverages in the regular world, so that experience speaks for itself. It's successful with major companies, probably brewers and craft soda makers and whoever, right? All these different types of companies. But and that how that translates directly into cannabis is, okay, well, that experience of build outs, saving money in today's day and age is damn near as good as making the money itself when you're
Right.
talking about build outs, right? And so walk me through some of that mindset or experience that you've gotten by helping bring so many of these beverage brands to life from the, from build out to all the way the beverage I'm drinking today.
Yeah, absolutely. It it really comes to being a consultant first. Understanding kind of where they see it, and then us being able to kind of bring that to life. But our main goal at Deutsche is to one eliminate operator redundancies and costs. So our goal is, if we say, we like to do 80,000 cans a year, we this, that, and the third, like, okay, well, how can we hit that target? But okay, you think you need this, but let's dial that back a little bit. We can
Mm-hmm.
stage this thing in a prorated approach. And I think it's one of those things where understanding the market, understanding your customer, and again, just figuring out what's nice to have and what's going to get us to the win, right? And I
Yeah,
think that's where we can bring our expertise with the experience, with the in-house engineers, and just with the expertise to rely on that.
yeah, absolutely. I think
The
that
other thing is going to the flavor forward having solid partners in place. So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
able that we are a one-stop shop. When you think about the cannabis beverages, it's your waters, your RO supplier, your reverse osmosis. It's where are we going to get the flavoring? Where are we going to get our our nano emulsions or our active ingredient, be that THC,
Yeah,
CBD.
yes,
How are we gonna cool and bottle these things, right? So being able to tap our network of resources and saying, hey, listen, if we can get a better deal on X, Y, and Z, we're gonna go ahead and grab that and kind of move that forward for you guys.
yeah,
Um,
that's
that's
huge.
our biggest, I guess, X factors when it comes to doing a greenfield facility is, listen, we're going to shop around for you and make sure that you get the best deal. It's kind of like a Geico. Like, we're going to lay out, here's the prices from not what we do, but the chilling vendor, the construction crew, the electricians, the program. Here's what our options are. Now, let's make this work for your budget. Because like I said, you just tell us what to do and we'll do it. Our team will, we can jump some hurdles. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Experience is everything. Efficiency, saving money, time. Even I would even go so far as to say, you guys have created an ecosystem of partnerships that probably people you enjoy working with.
I love every single one of my customers, and it's like I say, it's a one man team, but I have so much support, in the background. Everybody sees kind of my face at the trade shows and doing stuff like this, but I have a gang of help that I could not do this with. But I love every single one of my customers. I was just talking to Eric and Esmeralda out at Planet 13. So Joey, I know you've been to Planet 13, but that whole forward facing facility, that's all of Deutsche's equipment right there. That's the
Wow.
beverage processing. That's our huge gummy thing. And I love seeing those guys, just being able to go into their facility. I can't wait to see them. They're friendly with the samples. You know what I mean?
Right. What a great example of the the consumer and the industry being able to see the equipment in actual use, right?
Absolutely.
Planet 13, we'll slide this in there. This upcoming MJ Biz, we got Planet 13 times Good Live Gang times Beard Bros. There's a variety of panels going on. There's, I believe, mixers and a party. Respect My Region, we're actually curating two different panels in an hour and a half time slot. We've got a 35-minute panel of three women from Nevada cannabis industry, and then we have we've got four members of the Black community hosting a panel that's going to be speaking about some issues and things, and making moves in that regard for their community as well. So we're really excited to be doing that while we're there. Shout out Planet 13 for hosting the high stakes stage with Good Life Gang. So we're going to be that's going to be a big time opportunity. Now, Deutsche, where is the company based again?
We are in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte, North Carolina. You travel all over the place. You're very active in the community. I see. I've seen you active on LinkedIn. What would you say is the key differentiating factor between you guys and whoever the competition is in your guys' realm? What do you guys look at like them and think like, all right, we're gonna do this differently and specialize in that? What really separates you guys?
I think, our main thing is our dexterity. We cannabis, as you know, and I say this a lot, is cannabis is never one size fits all. It's just simply not. You can't put our industry into a box, especially the consumer manufacturing side, the packaging, the bottling, the compliance side. So
Mm-hmm.
being able to not just offer kind of pick it and stick it solutions, a plug and play. We'll design it to be that way eventually, but we are a custom equipment manufacturer at our core. So, if we don't have it in stock, if it doesn't match kind of what you need, we'll make it ourselves for you guys. And I think very, very few people in this industry have that capability or are willing to take that extra time, effort, and money to take people through a custom design phase that when you sign the paper, it's going to be right because we built this exactly for you. We worked with your general contractors. We worked with your union guys. We worked with your electricians. So we know without a shadow of a doubt that when this thing gets here and we help you install it, that's another thing that
Mm-hmm.
differentiates us is we're not in the business of just dropping off equipment. We install it with you. We review the wiring with your trades. We commission it, so we run it with you the first time to make sure that we're hitting those process parameters. So before we leave the site, we want to make sure that it's up and running. We kind
That's
of have
huge.
We think so. And I think that's the difference, right? Just picking up the phone, right? And answering and being able to, like I said, work in that consultative manner throughout the entire process. Like for me, questions are always free, right? If I answer enough right questions, they'll sign, you know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
just not only look at it from a new customer, but forwarding our industry. And I think more than that is standardizing our industry that we can
Mm-hmm.
have more outlets that while we're under a microscope, we're still overperforming and over regulating ourselves at the end of the day. So it's safe, it's consistent, and it's quality product. So I think that just for me personally, being part of this industry for, before working at Deutsche, just caring more than I think the next person. I don't think anybody
Yeah.
will.
Now, combining that culture, that mindset that you're, describing right there, along with the experience, along with the fact that, groups like Planet 13 and other large cannabis companies and hemp companies across the country are utilizing your equipment, all of that shows examples of the experience, right? The success, the quality of the work, right? The deliverability of these things that you're saying makes you guys different, right? It all proves it all as being true. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the the build outs, the buildings. You mentioned how you can custom manufacture things. I've been told and I've seen some of the equipment is pretty sizable in some of these larger facilities. I've heard some funny stories about how people get things in and out of buildings. Every example, gets a little crazier by the trip and tour that we go do. But I want to hear and learn more about what goes into the build out side of beverages in a cannabis space. So you mentioned the need for RO water. You mentioned the ability to work with the electricians and the architects and the general contractors and whoever else is involved in these processes, both locally and professionally. At a bare minimum, I go into a cannabis facility and I see their somebody called it Grand Central Station when they got the big tanks of water and the newts and the dosatrons clicking and all the stuff, sending all the stuff out, right? But that has nothing to do with you guys. That's the cultivation side of a lot of buildings,
Yeah,
right? So let's talk about what do build outs look like for beverage companies. Are
sure.
we just seeing like a general is it a warehouse? Is it a building in a plaza? Like, is it a former dispensary turned into a beverage little thing? Like,
Hooked up. Hey,
I've seen breweries in damn near every shape, and size, right? So, what does a beverage company in cannabis and hemp even look like from a build out standpoint?
so for now, again, cannabis is never one size fits all. So there's exceptions to every single rule, right?
Right,
So
right, right.
most of our facilities are in kind of a warehouse facility, right? But again, depending if you're in the, hemp D9 realm or, the actual THC, adult use or medical one, it's going to come down to where you can get a license, right? What area will let you license in this area? So we typically see kind of the larger industrial areas.
Okay.
That's for twofold. Mainly it's space, right? You can fit a lot of things in there. Now, not all of our systems are huge, right?
Of
Um,
course.
but space is thing. Power is another really important thing that you think of. I need a lot of power for a grow facility or a cultivation thing.
Yep.
Beverage,
That's how you can always spot a grow, right? Is the new power that they put outside and
oh,
the big air conditioners.
right? That's when you call Isaac Leeds and get the audit for you. Uh,
Shout out
so
Isaac cameo.
but understanding kind of, okay, we need power. It's not like you're just running your house. These are essentially industrial mixers. There's large chilling units. There's a lot of pumps going on and different things like that, control panels, which is something that we also work with them. We'll calculate the power loads and exactly how much this is going to draw. So you're kind of going to need that industrial type setting, at least for when you're doing over 12 1500 cans per minute, in those tanks, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing when we're looking at it, and you mentioned it, getting things in and out, entrance and egress is something that it's one of those things. If you worked in like a restaurant, there's that one thing that you did on the cook line that like won't do that again, like refilled the fryer basket without closing the vat, So learning from that, let's make sure, do we have a loading dock? Are we going to need a forklift? How can we just get around what we're doing? So again, something that you're probably going to need a little bit of wide corridors for.
That makes sense.
Things that looking at is kind of the ancillary portion of it. So that's going to be the heating and the cooling of your actual beverage.
Okay.
So typically, most of our systems are electrical heating. So when
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of put it like this, you'll have a on-demand hot water tank that Deutsche will provide that's electrically heated, that'll give you hot water on demand, help with cleaning. It's just a large hot water tank. That's going to go into a mixing tank at temperature, typically pretty warm, to dissolve any types of sugars, those syrups, get everything blended, emulsified, get your flavor profile, right? So that's going to be typically pretty warm. So we'll send that through what's called a heat exchanger. That's just rinsing it with some glycol, and that's going to go into your bright tank where it's going to be carbonated most of the times. So beverages like to be canned as cold as possible, and it helps them carbonate a lot quicker. So
Okay.
with alcohol, we're typically setting these cans for about 33, 32 degrees, right before that, as close to freezing as we possibly can without actually freezing the thing. So that takes a chilling unit. So we'll size that chilling unit appropriately, running glycol lines. We want as little linear feet as possible to help the efficiencies of that glycol to what we call crashing that temperature. So understanding, where are we going to put the chiller? How much is that going to draw? What size chiller do we need? Okay.
Yes.
What size chiller do we need for next year and the year before when you guys expand?
Yeah,
So
according to the plans that they always have.
what's that?
I said according to the plans that they always have, right? Because you said 1, 3, 5 investor rounds, all the 9.
Exactly. I mean, this is not even be tooting our own horn. This is tooting our customers' horn. I think out of 12 beverage facilities that we've done over the last 3 years, I think 75% of them have already expanded within the first 9 months.
Wow.
So again, being able to kind of have that foresight and set them up for success during that facility build out.
Mm-hmm.
But different things like floor drains, right? It's going to be wet in there. You're going to have a lot of water moving back and forth. So we need floor drains for sanitary purposes. We're going to need a sink because it's just like any other type of, industrial or commercial kitchen. So understanding all of that and being able to plot that out. And here's where you walk in. Your tanks are here. Your control panels are here. This is here. That's again, we
I feel
designed
like you can walk into anyone's building and just visualize, like, okay, I know exactly where I'd stick these equipments depending on what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can get that because you're just magically pointing at things there in your room at your office, and I'm just like, okay, he's visualizing where equipment would be right now in that area.
I usually have a napkin drawing by the end of the meeting. I'm like, this is
here you guys go. This will work. Take it. Now, I
uh,
wanted to use this time to show a little bit of the items that you guys offer off of the website, if that's okay. I have the
yeah.
website pulled up. This also gives me the opportunity to shout out our sponsor, the Flavor Company. Again, these are the premier flavor options for cannabis and hemp. There are a variety of people out there. I rock with Lisa Batista and her team. And today, this is the Flavor Forward episode because they want to share the education and get the knowledge out there. And they want us to highlight quality brands. And so, when it comes to beverages, Deustche Beverage and Process, they are those people. But you guys also do a variety of other machines. So let's go ahead and pull it up, shall we?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, give me one moment. Bop, 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 bop. Oh, almost the wrong one. Bam. Here we
If you,
go. All
the
right. So,
yeah, so go ahead.
automated turnkey equipment designed to serve innovators. So I'll just read the keywords real quick, and then you're down to boss the room.
Yeah, let's go to we'll go to the beverage.
So brewing, distilling, coffee, cannabis, beverage, blending and processing, equipment cleaning, canning, service and piping.
Go to cannabis. That's what the people are here for.
Let's go to cannabis. All right. Clickable. Let's talk to a chat. Request a quote. What do we got down here? Okay, so first things first, distillation and evaporation.
Button you click, you be talking to me anyway.
Right? Oh, nice. Okay, so first one, automated equipment utilizing distillation techniques. So you guys also create distillation equipment.
Yeah, so what you're looking at right here is our 10-inch short pass distillation unit. Again, this is on the industrial side of it. These specific systems, they have a 10-inch white film evaporator column with it. It's a single pass system. This one will clock anywhere from 25 to 50 liters of distillate an hour. So wow. She's big and she's fast.
Wow, love that. Okay, and then we've got some other types of extraction. Hydrocarbon or BHO and cryoethanol systems are available here. Extract cannabinoids and terpenes from the plant material, ensuring potency, purity, and versatility. There's the distillation one up here and evaporation. Yep. What's this one down here?
That is we call it our DHX20. That is the BHO hydrocarbon extraction system.
Yep.
Is rated for butane, propane, or a combination of both. It's been third-party reviewed in all 50 states by PSI. I think you know some guys in Massachusetts that are actually going to be running this fairly shortly. So we'll keep that one in the bag for a little while.
Shout out Massachusetts making the episode today as well. Y'all got some fire.
Nice. Yeah. So that is one of our new BHO or, hydrocarbon system. When we were talking about earlier about us trying to eliminate redundancies for operators, we did something kind of cool with this one. So no dry ice required to operate this one. And what we did is it only has a single ancillary unit. So we can put this thing down to -40, -50, -60, and we recycle the excess heat from that chilling unit and we pipe it back into the flash evaporator, so you don't have to have two separate units. So trying to save the money on that one.
Absolutely. Again, eliminating that redundancy, helping to save money, especially at scale over time. Yeah. Moving forward, we've got a winterization and filtration system. I've heard of these. I don't know what they do.
Yeah. So what you're going to see the winterization systems and kind of the larger ethanol extraction systems, it's going to be just another downstream process to help remove waxes, fats, lipids, different things like that in that crude oil. So this one is a fully pneumatic. It's fully air powered. It's got a plate filter press as well as some lenticular filters for color remediation, and again, stripping those fats, waxes, lipids to help refine that oil before you go into that distillation phase.
Yeah, that's super. That I've seen that those things were really, really popular back when that CRC stuff was around, was like popular. Then now that's more of a thing, I'd say, right now over on the East Coast. That's just me assuming. The next one that we have here, infused beverages. This is where the point of this conversation is really centered on, right? Yep. The beverage machines that exist. I love walking in and seeing this. I feel like I'm walking into a brewery. I feel like, personally, I love drinking beverages and or weed beverages while I'm smoking. I think they go hand in hand. And so it's really cool that you guys are offering some, cutting edge technology to help people really build and bring their beverage dreams to life. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, so I think if you click, I think it says the infused beverage. Yeah, click that link. I think it's going to give us a good picture of.
There we go.
That is not the one I'm thinking of, but anyway, if you go up to do me a favor, go up to the top, and if you go to products and services, So I got it real close here. Beverage equipment. Yeah, V2, that top one right there. And you'll see why. So this is our newest iteration of kind of a turnkey beverage system. This exact iteration will actually be at MJ Biz this year.
Okay.
Be at 50 booth 5726. So if there is any interest in expansion or how to get these products off the ground, we'll be showcasing this kind of exact system.
Wow.
Going to give you kind of an example of all of those steps I was kind of anecdotally talking about earlier. You'll have on the right, that's that big hot water tank, the HLT. The one on the left there is your mixing tank.
Mm-hmm.
Very far right is the that heat exchanger, which will assist in cooling that beverage down and save everybody on their electric bill and those utilities. And that right there is something that we added, and a lot of our customers really like it. It's what we call a diverter panel.
Okay.
And Joey, going back to your point, where it's kind of how do we help save some money? How do we make this as economical and possible? This is actually one of those things where it doesn't look like much, but understanding what it's there for, it kind of tells the tale of it. So this diverter panel is, as you can see, hooked up to a lot of different butterfly valves. So
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you think it is. You can change and reroute the flow of that liquid throughout a couple of different channels. So if you eventually want to add additional things like an emulsification pump or a high shear mixer, if you want to do additional flavor profiles with a dosing tank, you're able to add those a la carte. You can add those down the road. Like, we don't
Yeah.
need to have it now, but being able to plug it in is going to be beneficial, so we don't have to redo the entire system.
Huge, huge, huge. Yeah, again, offering all that allows a lot more to be added in, and more freestyling and creativity down the road.
Yeah.
I love that. That's super cool. How do we get back to some of these other ones? Let's see if that works real quick. There it is. The skid, the beverages. Oh, here we go. Oh. 1 second, folks. There we go. Okay, then we get to the mixing vessels, right?
Yep. So
C1D room, edibles, candies, confections. Okay, so there's still some more stuff. So you guys go from infused beverages, then we get to the mixing vessels.
Right. So the mixing vessels, we can do a couple of different things. It could be mixing, again, beverages. It could be emulsifications. It could be mixing topicals, different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some butters, some creams, some salves, lotions, different things like that. That it require some calculated mixing, right? So for the viscosity rates and everything like that. The C1D1 room, in I'm pretty sure in every state, if you're operating a hydrocarbon or a BHO skid, they're going to have to be operated
Mm-hmm.
within class 1 D1 rated room for
Yeah,
explosion.
those rooms are pretty cool looking when you pull up in a facility, and they got one inside a big building or a couple in a big building.
Yep. So when we say turnkey, we try to think of everything for you guys. So we'll be able to outfit you not only with the skid, but also all the safety precautions, the LEL sensors, the fans, that actual room. We'll work with your fire department on fire suppression. That's going to be locally handled, but we'll talk to the chief with you, let them know
That's
what you.
huge. I love that. I love that. I mean, like you said, you guys really deliver. And I use this phrase that I got from Trees and See This Media. It's a white glove experience, right? I mean, you really want to give people the over and above, over the top experience to make sure that safety is at the highest thing and efficiency, and also too, like, that they have solid relationships with their local, the laws and legislation and the fire department and stuff like that, because you want them to come help you if there's ever any issues.
Exactly.
This one is an edibles, candies, and confections machine. I think I've seen one of these up in Sacramento, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. So we had
Um,
floating around. So actually, Planet 13 has a very large scale version of this. I want to say it's almost 200 liters.
oh,
But
God.
that we have dexterity and some range in the size that we can create. It's not all big stuff, although historically it has been. But we're working on being able to help that the smaller non-MSO guys still be able to compete when it comes to quality and efficiency.
Absolutely. I mean, it's important. We've got to create accessibility. Yeah, you guys have a bunch of different, equipment, and are really helping to push this beverage space forward. I mean, I like I said, I've been in a couple of these different places. I've seen it. I've consumed beverages from it. That really leads us to the next part of the conversation, which is going to be about what are some of those quality beverages across the country, right? Like when you think about good beverages in cannabis, whether you guys have created them or not, and from your machinery standpoint, what do you look for in the beverage, and what are some of those quality brands that you've seen?
Yeah, I think the market itself is you can kind of see it holistically swing, right? So what I've seen personally in the market is kind of people are liking their drinks like liking their extracts, like solventless. They want them clean, they want them natural, they don't want a bunch of sugar. Now, I think there's definitely a place for that flavor in the market. I think Planet 13's biggest seller is their root beer flavor. So it's one of those things. But for me, I think you touched on it, um, consistency. I want the same can. I think that Keith Cola does a great job. I think that CQ. I think Artet. I think Senorita does a really good job. I think Agrify actually is in the process of snapping up that brand. So I wish all the best for them. But just something that is, it easy to drink. You know what I mean? It's not
Mhm.
for me. I don't like a whole lot of sugars in that. I don't drink sodas, but having a mocktail in a margarita, but it's got 5 to 10. It's a low dose is absolutely perfect. But I think for
Yeah.
me, it's the consistency of it. Does every single one taste the same in that 4 pack?
I really like. I recently did a blind taste test for CQ against Keef and the Fizz, and it was crazy because the color of these drinks are like either a caramel seltzer, or it looks like a cola. It's kind of either one or the other. The Fizz tasted like a bottled cola.
Okay.
The CQ tasted like a cola, but looked like a caramel seltzer, and Keef just wasn't good in my review for the overall part. That
Yeah.
was the worst of the three. Um, and I definitely noticed the difference of something being poured out of a can versus drinking it in the can. And I thought that that was a pretty interesting experience. And I also want to shout out CQ for their spritzers. Those are really delicious beverages. The 10 milligram spritzers that they do. Wonder has some really good juice, sparkling juice is here in California. There's
I
this
would.
other brand here called
I,
Almora.
I mean, I'm not biased because they're a great customer, but the Crescent Nine, their original low dose, it's they use a fruit puree, so it's all
Oh
natural.
wow,
It's a mango pineapple flavor. It is incredible. Uh,
nice.
they've opened up a collaboration with Big Frida. It's called Wobble. I think they debuted it at Wobble Fest, but they're doing
Mhm.
anything 5 to I think 100. And their flavors, they've paired up with some local artists down there in the hip hop community. So definitely encourage check Crescent Nine out. It should be nationally wide distributed, but they are crushable.
That's huge. I love that, man. There's so many good quality brands out there now developing, just incredible products. Some of the brands that we've mentioned are definitely award winners. Today so far we've talked about what the facility needs and what goes into producing these beverages. We've gone through your guys' different equipment to both extract and mix, and create and cool down, the different, not only but highlight like the different steps, the different problems that need to be solved. It's been a lot. I've never learned so much about drinks in one 30-minute, 40-minute interaction, my friend. This is really powerful, Andrew. I really appreciate you being here with us today.
We'll get you out to the East Coast and we'll have you run a batch yourself. We'll
Come
have
on, man. I'm trying to. Hey, you could call me head brewer J Ping checking in, man. I'm gonna come through with the lab coat and everything. Now, before we get out of here, I want to touch on one last thing: flavors. Obviously, this episode today is brought to us by the Flavor Company. I've tried beverages that have all natural flavoring. We know about the food colorings that are bad or good for us, right? We know about terpenes and how they're volatile, right? And how they don't cannabis terpenes don't taste good in drinks for the most part, right? We talk about these other ingredients. I've seen psilocybin drinks. I see mushroom things in beverages now, not just psilocybin, other healthy mushrooms and stuff. Andrew, how do you get these things into a beverage? How do we get these flavors and terpenes and other ingredients? How does that come about? And how does that play in with your machines?
So I think, if you're asking on the kind of the formulations of it, there is usually somebody that is dedicated to, making that formulation. I think it's a good idea. I like it. But it really comes into, their brand most of the time, right? So some people are using what we will call an infusion basket. Well, it's a metal basket. They'll dump orange peels, lime peels, hibiscus, ginger, and they will just heat that up and they will just circulate it through that basket, almost like making kind of a tea essentially. So I mean, and that's fine, but some of those times you'll open it and you taste like that tastes like ginger that has low battery. It's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But there's the artificial sweeteners, there's syrups, there are,
People always talk, people that smoke weed say they can taste when things are grown in a certain medium. And people say that they can taste the stevia leaf or they can taste this versus that. I, I for the most part cannot. I don't know what it is about my palate. Maybe it's not mature enough or whatever it is, but or refined, I guess another word perspective might be. But my understanding is like what you said. It takes somebody that's really chefing up these flavors and creating the science and the math to ultimately create it at scale in this new environment with your machinery and this equipment.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
powerful.
And it's one of those things where, if you don't know, you don't know. And it's okay to do some R&D, to throw some stuff against the wall. And it's also okay to call somebody like our sponsor and ask questions to
Yeah.
make.
Definitely reach out to theflavorco.com for any questions if you guys have the desire to make a beverage and you want to create your flavors and stuff first before you go trying to buy equipment you don't really know how to use and that you might burn stuff with or fuck it all up with. This is a business. This is making products. This is doing commercial beverages. This is a conversation about building better beverages. But ultimately, craft and commercial are not the same, and when you're in cannabis, you're not the same as some craft soda provider or some regular brewer or some regular seltzer maker. It's a full different tax ecosystem, a whole different realm of products, and a whole buyers, bud tenders world, whole different culture and ecosystem ultimately, and
Yeah.
a lot of it's a whole different world of retail.
You don't have that big capital backing you up.
Yep. Andrew, before we get you out of here, do you want to share anything specific with the people?
Just that, it's a great time to be in beverages. Questions are always free. Joe, I'd like to thank you personally, man. Been a fan of you guys for a while. Love what you guys do in the community with the tours. So for me,
Thank you.
just for giving me the platform and the opportunity to kind of talk about what we do. Again, we're going to be at MJ Biz. We'll have all of this on display. Definitely encourage everybody to go check out Planet 13 if they want to see a little bit about Deutsche, or check us out online and give us a shout.
Come on, man. Tap in. JP checking the lab, man. Respect my region. My guy, Andrew Bouchard. Beverage Plus Process. The processing equipment, the beverage making equipment, the brewing, the teas, the cannabis. You guys got it all, man. You guys are a fun time. Thank you, Andrew, for your time. I look forward to hanging out with you. If I do so, you be sure to try to have some bevies on hand. I'll have the joints. You have the drinks if we can.
I got t-shirts and hats all day for you, my guys.
Come on, baby. Thank you again for the episode. Big shout out to our sponsor. Be sure to check out theflavorco.com. Today's episode was brought to you guys by Flavorco. They are the cannabis industry's premier option for flavors when it comes to cannabis and hemp. They can make it for you. They can create a new one. They're happy to give you what they got as well. Be sure to tap in if you have any questions. I'm Joey. This is Andrew. We'll catch you on the next episode.